images related to the deadly shooting at Brown University over the weekend. Fox's CB Cotton is in Providence, Rhode Island.
Providence PD asking the public to help identify a second individual. The agency, though, is not calling this a second person of interest, but instead saying this person was near the man they've been searching for, described as 5'8" with a stocky build, who was casing the neighborhood near Brown before the shooting. Brown University now getting tough questions about what appears to be security lapses. It's been revealed that none of Brown's 1,200 campus cameras were linked to Providence PD's real-time crime center. But Providence PD's police chief says he's not sure it would have mattered, telling Fox that instead there needed to be a newer camera system inside the school's engineering building that, get this, was only partially covered by surveillance.
2 people were killed, 9 others injured. Nick Reiner appearing in court today. He's accused of murdering his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, in their Los Angeles home Sunday night.
It was a very brief court appearance for Nick Reiner, and his formal arraignment ultimately delayed until January 7th at his own attorney's request. But it was the first time we have seen Nick Reiner since he was arrested on Sunday. He was brought into court wearing a suicide prevention smock. He sat there shackled as well. He only spoke once when the judge addressed him about the delay in the arraignment.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in L.A. President Trump huddling with grieving families at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware today. The remains of 2 Iowa National Guard members arriving back in the U.S., Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Howard, were killed during an attack in Syria. America's listening to Fox News.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Picture this. You're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. Is only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Coach! The yellow light!
I'm walking here! I'm walking!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here on Seattle Red 770 AM. We are streaming on the Seattle Red app and online at seattlered.com. We've got a lot to get to, including someone thought he was playing a prank on me in the studio in our building, but it turns out the prank was on him. We'll get to that, but first, obviously, weather, flooding, the wind, still top of mind for so many people, and that's what's trending, brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
What's trending? Weather apocalypse Mageddon.
So things this morning started to look a little bit better for the city of Pacific. The breach in the levee of the White River had been plugged. Crews started to work to reinforce that levee to try to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Our sister station, Cairo News Radio, spoke with the mayor of Pacific, Vic Cave, who says he's feeling optimistic, but he's also being realistic.
You know, we've had one breach, and we can't guarantee that we won't have another.
And so it's all about the work to fortify the levee.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle, so once the damage was done, the idea is to contain the damage to the areas damaged now and not allow it to get worse.
Will it get worse? We obviously hope not. We can tell you that the weather conditions are looking a lot more favorable over the course of the next several days. It would appear that the worst of the worst is, in fact, over. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to all of a sudden start to get, dry and warm. That's not going to happen. It's still going to be wet for the next several days. We're even having some conversations about whether or not it could snow next week in the Seattle region for Christmas, but things are certainly going to be better moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean that every single threat is gone. As the governor pointed out earlier today, they're going to be routinely checking the conditions of the levees.
Who's responsible on a county-by-county basis for inspecting them in advance to prevent them from a failure?
So we have folks out there in real time checking those out.
So John Taylor with the King County Department of Natural Resources said that they were aware of the weak levees before the flood hit. And so as he speaks to Como, I think the natural question for a lot of folks is going to be, well, if you knew that this was a possibility, what'd you do to try to mitigate some of the risk?
We had identified that segment as an area that was weak, and that's why we had crews there deployed, kind of watching it very carefully. When it began to break...
You knew this was a weak spot?
Yeah.
Before the flood, you knew it was a weak spot?
And we'd been out there reinforcing it before this. But with everything we can do, this is an extraordinary event.
How many weak spots?
More than a dozen, I would suspect, across the entire system. Some more severe than others.
Now, I'm kind of a mixed mind on this one. On the one hand, we understand that weak spots will happen and you're going to have to deal with it over both the short and long term, right? But when you have this level of weaknesses, seems pretty significant. Why does the public not know? I don't need the public to know every small detail of every issue, right? Like, that's just not realistic. It's not fair to expect that. But I do expect that if we have this level of problems with the levees, the public should know, because then we can put pressure on lawmakers to actually get something done to figure it all out, get the funding. We talked with Chris Corey yesterday on the show about this very issue of, there didn't appear to be and still doesn't appear to be systemic failures because of the unique nature of this weather event. But clearly they're not doing the level of upkeep that's necessary to prevent levees from breaking, or we would not have had so many issues, right? Again, it's one thing to say this came out of nowhere. You're actively saying you knew about the weaknesses of the levee, and then this happened. You can't say, well, this is a once in a lifetime or once every 20 years kind of event in the context of you knowing about the levee weaknesses. When you say once in 20 years-ish, what does that mean? Literally, it happens once every 20 years or so, okay? The last time this happened was when? About 20-ish years ago? So we're kind of overdue. I mean, we hear all about, we got to get ready for the big one, the earthquake. We got to make sure that we're properly fortifying our buildings, et cetera. Okay, fair enough. Why? Because you look at the clock and you say, oh, well, timeline suggests that we may have something happen soon, right? Were we not doing that with the levees? Here's Director of Washington Emergency Management, Robert Ezel, saying, don't worry, Como TV. We may know about these problems, but we're not ignoring them. I mean, well, we're going to ignore them kind of in the context of fixing them immediately, but we'll monitor them.
The management of the levees and dikes is a shared responsibility. Some are federally managed by the Army Corps. Some are managed by local levee and diking districts.
Do you know what the inspection records were on some of these levees, or when they were last inspected by these people who are responsible for it?
I would have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, so it does sound like perhaps there were some issues that could have been avoided. And, again, in fairness to this guy, he's got a lot on his plate. Do I expect him to know every date No. So we'll see what he ends up saying. We can also tell you that hundreds of Auburn residents remained under evacuation orders this morning because of the water levels around the Green River. There were a lot of people in Auburn who had to evacuate their family, their pets, including Rashendia and her newest grandchild, who's only 6 weeks old.
Shock, to put it frank, shock. I was literally in a state of shock.
Okay, you don't have to say it 3 times. We got it, lady. Jeez. Did you hear that she was shocked? It's my understanding she was shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know how I know?
How?
She said it 3 times within 3 seconds.
It was rough the first night, but right now they're calm. And they understand the situation now. They're understanding it better. It's okay, to go through circumstances and situations, but it's going to work out. Everything will work out.
Well, that's a good attitude to take, because I'm usually of the position nothing's going to work out. This is the worst of the worst, and we're all doomed. But we're getting a lot of volunteers from not just the region, but out of state. David Toms is a Red Cross volunteer who flew from Maryland. He spoke with Como.
I think everybody's kind of a bit traumatized. This is a traumatic event, and people are dealing with this trauma, I think, as best they can. We're providing food and shelter. That's kind of all we can do to help them.
You know what? It's good enough for me. You're stepping up. You didn't need to. You didn't need to come here to help, but you did, and that's awesome. So, as I said, we'll continue to monitor the situation, see where things are headed, but right now, it looks like we're going in the right direction. The audio crackling in the background, though, is not going in the right direction, is it?
No.
And I've not had the happiest of days today, kind of in a mood. And it's not even a Friday in which I'm not getting a haircut. It's a Wednesday in which I'm just pissy. So you know what that noise is making me want to do?
I don't think I want to know.
Strangle everyone.
Yeah.
But thank you for your text messages. I'm aware that the phantom noise is back. And you know what I think is behind this?
What?
You know what I actually think?
What?
You're going to call me a conspiracy. You're going to call me a J.D. Vance. But I think there's someone out there trying to get me.
Well, you do have a lot of enemies.
I have a ton of enemies. And I guarantee you there's someone in this building who's sneaking in and cutting wires and doing something because they're upset that my studio has been getting a lot of attention lately. It looks a lot better. We've been putting a lot of energy and we're giving off the impression we're putting money into this. It's not super expensive, but it's, that's the best thing to do with a lower budget is make it look really, really nice. And we're doing a really good job. But I walk into the studio earlier, someone turned off and unplugged the lights. Why would you do, we've got a wall dimmer to turn it off. Why would someone go into, and so I was like, who did this? Someone changed the television channel from Fox News to the Comedy Network or Comedy Central.
Random.
Seems very suspicious. And now this is back?
Mm-hmm. It's probably an anti-Semite.
Hates Jews, hates gays, hates Republicans, hates gay Jewish Republicans who are much more attractive and smarter than they are and humbler. Push the button.
What's trending? National.
We got confirmation today that Dan Bongino will be stepping down as FBI deputy director. It's going to happen in January. We've heard this as a rumor for a very long time. Almost since he started working at the FBI, he had some issues reportedly with Pam Bondi. And Bongino, I'm Team Bongino 100% all the time. I texted with him literally moments before we went on the air today. Like, I love the guy. Behind the scenes, I'll tell you, not as FBI director, but when he was just doing radio, and I got to know him years ago. Nicest guy, super supportive guy. Everything positive can be said about him without any exaggeration at all. So I'm always on his team. It helps that he was right in his complaints, according to the reports, with Pam Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. It was not handled properly, quite the opposite. It was bungled from the beginning. It was really, really poorly handled. And he was right to be upset. Now, the dynamics behind the scenes on how that, I have no idea. But apparently they butted heads, and that happened 7 months ago or so, and since then we were told, he's not happy there, he's going to be on his way up at the end of the year. There was I think it was the New York Times either early this morning or late last night had a story about it's imminent that he is packing up his office and he's sending some of his belongings back down to Florida where he lives. And then President Trump said this on the tarmac ahead of hopping on Air Force One.
Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show. So then Bongino wrote on X, I'll be leaving my position with the FBI in January. I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and those who defend her. And as I don't think he'd be mad that I said this. I sent him a text and I said, I hate to see you leave the FBI. You're a patriot. You've been doing a really good job, but I'm also really eager to have you back in the spotlight in audio form and video form. Like, I want the Dan Bongino show back. I don't know if it's going to be back on the radio. I presume it likely will be. I don't know what the timeline would be. I imagine the podcast is something he can start up back immediately. I cannot wait for that to happen. He is a voice that has been sorely missed. And the one downside about him serving in the FBI is that we haven't been able to really hear him. He's been somewhat active on X, but when you're in that position of deputy director of the FBI, it's not like you can tweet all day. It's not like you're the president of the United States. So he's not been able to be as outspoken as we all know him to be and know he wants to be. So we get that back. And I'm really excited for that Dan Bongino again. And it comes with now a year having served under the under this administration, under Kash Patel. And I'm looking forward to hearing a lot about what was happening behind the scenes that we're not getting a whole bunch of access to, unfortunately. The left wing continues to tell us how incompetent this FBI is, and yet they seem to be making some significant strides in cases whenever they get attached. It's weird how that works. They're not as incompetent as we're told, are they? No, of course not. They're not incompetent at all. And I remember the second that you criticized Christopher Wray, by the way, you were accused of attacking all FBI law enforcement, but I guess that went away. I guess they got rid of that. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending in Amazonia?
Some bad news for some folks. 84 people in Seattle and Bellevue will be out of a job as of February, or between, I guess, February 2nd and February 23rd. Amazon announced another round of layoffs. This according to the worker adjustment and retraining notification filing that you have to put in with the state. They say employees working in software development, recruiting, human resources, and engineering, among some other departments, will be affected. According to the spokesperson, Brad Glasser, we've informed a relatively small number of employees that the roles will be eliminated as a result of individual business decisions. Now, this part is an important distinction here, and I don't view that as spin. When you lay off 84 people, when you hire, 84 people in a morning, this is not an indication of anything beyond, it was just an individual business decision, or 84 individual business decisions, that it just didn't quite make sense for these particular roles. My assumption is there's probably a little bit of the AI angle at play here, like to a degree, but I, for this, would not read too much into what this means about AI and Amazon and the future in this region. The majority of them are coming from Seattle, which makes sense because the majority of the employees are still in Seattle. 70 employees in Seattle, 8 employees in Bellevue, 6 of them are remote. Those are the ones who are going to be laid off. This comes after an actual significant cut of like 14,000 jobs from Amazon. So maybe this is just, they were on the bubble in the 14,000 and they said, okay, look, there's a lot of layoffs. I'm tired, man. Can we go home and continue this conversation tomorrow? And then someone was on vacation. They're like, we can't continue. Fred is on vacation. Who takes vacation now? You couldn't wait until Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving gets there, and they're all like, well, we can't do anything now because everyone actually is out on vacation, except, ironically, Fred, who's back into the office. Then after Thanksgiving, they forgot that they had to have this conversation, and then they eventually did, and then the announcement came. They said, quick, we better do it before Fred takes another vacation because it's almost Christmas time, and he's going to be working on Christmas.
He's got a lot of days banked. What do you want him to do? And they don't roll over.
Yeah, it's like you got to use them or lose them. I'm not going to criticize Fred for taking the vacation if he earned it. I will note, however, when I'm on vacation, I still work, which is my fault, I know. But maybe I'm not as lazy as Fred. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
Congressman Newhouse earlier today announced he is not seeking re-election next year. We have the story up at seattlered.com. He announced he's calling it quits. He's retiring for whatever comes next, whatever is the next chapter of his career. He released his statement saying the decision came without hesitation, saying that he was able to serve. He was pleased with his service. It was an honor of his lifetime, and that he's not stepping down. He's going to complete his current term, but just not run for re-election. He's been in office for a very long time. I think it was 12 years total in Congress representing Central Washington. He's from Sunnyside. He told his constituents that he leaves with gratitude for the voters who supported him and all the colleagues he worked with on both sides of the aisle. I saw some framing here that he's one of two of the members of Congress who voted to impeach the president who still is in office, calling it quits. So there's only going to be one left after this. I don't know if I would have framed it quite that way in this context. If he was running for, when he announced he was running for re-election after the impeachment, okay, that's a narrative, a storyline that makes sense. For me on this, I don't think this is anything other than he's ready to maybe not have to live in, two coasts, or two areas, right? I mean, DC and then going back to Central Washington every other week. That's a lot of travel. It is a lot of travel, and I imagine he looks at this seat. He knows it's safe for Republicans. There's no threat of a Democrat getting in unless something just like crazy happens. This is a red district, and there are two names, of course, who immediately come up to mind to fill that seat. Do you know who those two names are?
Jared Sessler?
Yep, and? Come on. You should know this one. I'll give you a hint. She previously ran for Senate, as well as this seat.
Oh, Tiffany Smiley.
Exactly. Those are the two that I imagine if I were to reach out to either of them. Although it felt like Jared was always running. I don't think he stopped running. I think he was always... He's motivated. I like him. He's a good dude. I think he's a good fit. And also, I say the same thing for Tiffany. I like Tiffany Smiley as well. I think both of them would serve the district really, really well. They are different candidates, right? Tiffany Smiley, I wouldn't say is like hardcore MAGA. Jared Sessler, I do think is hardcore MAGA. I don't know if that helps or hurts either of them. It's probably a wash in that district. But I think both would be really good. And, there are going to be people who I imagine show interest in this particular seat who will come forward that we haven't even really talked about. Maybe some state lawmaker. I can't remember Jacqueline Maycumber, if she's in this district. She might have been in Spokane more, Spokane Valley side of things. But I think there's the possibility for someone else to even shine. The reason why this isn't that big of a deal nationally, and you're not really going to get a whole bunch of coverage other than just like some random AP story that gets filed, is that because it's a safe seat, no one's really worried about this flipping or helping to flip the House to the Democrats. The Democrats, again, on the House side of things, are looking fairly decent heading into the midterms, but it's way too early. I wouldn't look at this race and say it's going to flip. I can tell you that Republicans are definitely looking yet again at Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez out of Vancouver, Battleground, that district. Joe Kent's not running in that race, and so we've got John Braun. We've got some others who are likely going to step up. Republicans are looking at that as a vulnerability, which is interesting to me because Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez has won re-election under very similar, vulnerabilities, and she won in a landslide. So I wonder if they thought at the GOP nationally that perhaps it was just a Joe Kent issue and it wasn't necessarily Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. So that one we're actually going to be paying close attention to. Every once in a while you hear Kim Schreier, who's a doctor in case you didn't know it.
Wait, whoa.
I know.
Really?
I know. And I got a dog last year. We are shocking people left and right. That one keeps popping up. I think sometimes Republicans think they're going to win that back. I don't see Kim Schreier losing unless you get a really, really, really strong known candidate. And we had a strong candidate last time. I can't remember her name, which is a problem. And I thought she was a really good candidate, but she was an unknown to the district. You need someone who people actually know and recognize. 1-800-465-8770. Maybe I will run, hint, hint. I'm not even in that district. Our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn, understands the pressure that comes from issues with the IRS, but do not let that pressure build. Call None Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution. When we come back, we're getting closer and closer to the holiday season. We've got a new poll that tells us what we should probably get our friends and family members for the holidays. We'll get into that and so much more on the Jason Rantz Show.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. 10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
This is Trainer Games.
Watch it on Prime Video starting January 8th.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Like so many of you, I'd get 8 or even 9 hours of sleep, but I would wake up the next morning like I didn't sleep a wink. Snoring or sleep apnea could be keeping you from restorative sleep, which can shave years off your life and keep you tired all day long. For me, it all stopped after I met Dr. Nick Kugler at the Washington Center for Sleep. Turns out there's an actual solution, and it's a lot easier than you think. In fact, it can even be free.
I had 3 patients this past week that had already hit their deductible. They didn't owe anything for their home sleep test, their office visits, or their sleep appliance. So it's basically free treatment to get better sleep. And even patients who haven't hit their deductible, a lot of times patients are spending less than $500 to get better sleep.
If you've got an FSA or HSA, you can use that too, which means you can finally use your end-of-year benefits on something that actually improves your life. Stop waking up tired. Talk to the team at the Washington Center for Sleep. Visit them online, wasleep.com, wasleep.com.
Those of you interested in building your very own shop, horse arena, or farm equipment storage, Pac West Arenas will provide your engineering and a kit if needed. A kit includes step-by-step instructions, unlimited communication, and a one-time 4-hour site visit from an expert. If you also need engineering, Pac West Arenas will guarantee it in 10 business days. Consult an engineering and kit expert. Pac West Arenas, your one-stop shop for all your pole building needs. Go to PacWestArenas.com.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes around the Sound for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. And with my luxurious marketing, you'll attract tons of buyers, sell fast at top dollar, and net more money. Because Upgrade Realty will save you thousands in fees for only 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
The stock market was on fire in 2025 due to AI and tech stocks. Now is the time to set a strategy for 2026. It's a good opportunity to lock in those gains and invest into a stable platform. With $8 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines, investors are either scared or unsure where to go. Hi, I'm Scott Rurecka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Legacy Group Capital develops local real estate, lends money, and shares the profits with our investors. Diversify with Legacy Group Capital. Invest into our Northwest Fund, which is currently delivering 9% on a fixed rate term. It's our flagship fund for 19 years with zero investor losses. And yes, we do accept IRAs. Find out why 1,300 local investors have invested over $350 million.
Legacy Group Capital at legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text message. 1-800-465-8770. There is a poll from the Associated Press. And by the way, I just figured out what the problem with the sound is.
What's that?
It's the stupid camera. So our engineers who are listening downstairs, turn off the cameras and then the noise will go away, and I will have solved it. But then, of course, I'm going to get angry that the cameras are off. I'm having a day.
Pick your poison, you know.
How about this? If this doesn't get fixed soon, I'm going to poison everyone. I will pick that poison. See that cup of water over there that weirdly is bubbling on your desk and the smoke is coming out of it? Ignore the bubbles and I got you a nice little treat. It's electrolytes.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever done for me.
I know. Take a sip. Down the hatch. There we go, buddy. Okay, how you feeling? You seem a little dizzy and woozy. So AP has a new story out on a poll that's related to the holidays. And it gets into what I think is an incredibly annoying but necessary debate over the holidays. And it's whether or not people want or appreciate cash or gift cards rather than something that is more tailored to the individual, thoughtful, very specifically chosen because, hey, I like golf and you got me something golf related versus just here's a $50 or $100 Amazon gift card. They say in this poll, about 6 in 10 Americans say cash or gift cards are very acceptable as holiday presents, but they're much less likely to say that about a gift that was purchased secondhand or regifted. Now, that makes total sense to me, especially if you know that the gift is secondhand or regifted. Who tells people that they regifted their gift? Like when you get someone something, you're like, oh, by the way, here's a gift that so-and-so got me, but I didn't want, so I'm giving it to you. By the very nature of framing the gift that way, of course they're going to reject it. Right? Who gets excited about that? Even if it's a good gift, you're just thinking, you're just giving me something you don't want? It's like bringing leftovers to a dinner party. It doesn't quite make sense. But this whole idea that a gift card or cash is quote-unquote very acceptable, some people might take that to mean that they're just really excited about the idea of being able to spend money on something that they want because it's as thoughtful as a gift. But it really isn't as thoughtful as a selected gift. In the context, if I know you really well and I get you something that you really, really wanted, you're going to appreciate that way more than an Amazon gift card or cash. The reason why I think people find it acceptable to get gift cards and cash or to receive it is because the gifts they get are usually pretty crummy. And they'd rather just spend the money themselves. I guess there's that percentage of people who just want to use the cash for something practical. They don't need a gift. They'll just put it to their rent or to their mortgage or a car payment or something. But I'd love to hear from you guys at 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text message. The idea of